Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. I'm your host, Haim the Dream. Thank you for joining me live. I am up and time to go live. All right. Thank you guys for joining me for another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. I'm your host, Haim the Dream. If you're catching the live right now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Drop a like, comment in the comment section below. Also, make sure you like the page on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe, of course, on YouTube, and stay in tune with us as we talk wrestling. We are on the road to Wrestlemania. It's Wrestlemania season. Wrestlemania will be upon us, I believe, this weekend. Indeed, we have Wrestlemania this Saturday and Sunday, a 2-night special. I was reading some reports that Triple H wanted to keep the WrestleMania card a little bit short. He didn't want to keep it as long as the previous ones. He wanted to keep the card short. So he didn't want to do too much. He pretty much wanted to give everybody a good show, good matchup, and then send everybody home, which is good because sometimes less is more rather than having too much on a plate at the same time. So, I have great expectations in the matches that we have on the card. One in particular, Finn Balor versus Edge. Another one being Austin Theory versus John Cena. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Those are my top 3 matches. Those are my top picks. Those are the matches. Oh, I'm sorry. And the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Those are the matches I think are going to be some great matches, or matches that I believe are going to really sell the show. I want to know what you guys think. What are your top picks for WrestleMania? Your top picks as far as matches that you think will be show stealers, great matches. But I believe that Finn Balor versus Edge is going to be one of those kind of matches that's going to be great. It's a Hell in a Cell match. I was hearing some news that Edge wants to try to pull out all the stops, try to make the best type of one-on-one match with Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match that he can. He said he's going to try to go for the gusto when it comes to this match. He's going to try to give us the best performance, or one of the greatest performances he could ever give us in a Hell in a Cell. Edge is trying to take this match to the edge. And in my mind, when I heard those comments, I could only think about Edge taking a coup de grace on the announce table, in the announce table from Finn Balor off the top of the cage. In my mind, I just imagining Finn Balor performing that move on Edge to end the match. And that would be such a great sight to see. That would be dope to see in slow motion, or even have as part of Finn's highlight reel. So, we have another one of my picks is John Cena versus Austin Theory, which I think is going to be a great match in itself. The past versus the present. We know John Cena is now full-time. I don't expect John Cena to win this match. I don't expect John Cena to pull out a victory in this match. If he does pull out a victory, I think he's going to do one of his U.S. Open challenges on Monday Night Raw the next night and just drop the belt to somebody else or some craziness like that. Or somebody he thinks probably deserves the rub. But in my opinion, I really feel like it should be Theory who goes over. I'm noticing, like, there's like about 3 veterans. You have Rey Mysterio versus Dominic. You have Lita and you have Lita fighting in a tag match. You have John Cena versus Austin Theory, and you have Edge versus Finn Balor. There's a lot of veterans uh in this WrestleMania. I don't think we ever seen that many veterans stacked on a WrestleMania card like that. People who are like supposed to be in retirement, or people who were considered like part-time performers, except for Ray. Ray's been pretty consistent. Um, but nonetheless, Ray is pretty much one of those guys who's like at the end of his rope as far as being a performer. So it's the first time I've ever seen a WrestleMania card really stacked like that. It's very interesting. I want to see. I want to check out some news and rumors, uh, and see what they have in store for us as far as what is floating around the rumor mill concerning WWE. Um, I think some of us have some big expectations for the likes of Jay White, or even the likes of Jay White showing up after WrestleMania. Um, as a matter of fact, there's an article I see here. I think it's pretty good, and I think we talked about it on the show, but I'll talk about it now, and I think it poses a great conversation. Anyways, um, so WrestleMania has a pretty stacked card. We have Bianca Belair going against Asuka. Everybody knows Asuka's going to win this one. Um, I'm just trying to think about how long Bianca Belair has held the belt. I believe it's going on close to a year, but she's not going to make a year. Uh, but this will be her longest reign as champion. And yeah, this will be her. What is the women's championship? I'm trying to see. Let me see. So the women's championship, right? The women's championship. Um, how long has, let's see, Raw Women's Championship? All right, so I'm gonna check to see how long Bianca Belair has held the championship. Let's see. Yeah, so she had it for 359 days. She is close to 365. So what's today? Today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. She would have it close to a year. So she'll have it 362 days. She's more than likely going to lose to Asuka. If she wins against Asuka, but I'd be pretty surprised. But she would have had it close to a year. So Bianca Belair stands as one of the long reigning champions. So the article I wanted to bring up was an era of dominant champion. Is it a good thing or bad thing? And this is what the article talks about. And of course, the good part is you have substantial champions, people that we root for, or people that we loathe, to hold the belt for lengths of time. And when that belt gets passed on to someone else, it creates another superstar, someone else who can shine and get that same dominant spotlight. And that's the best part of having a long reigning champion. The bad part about that is that people who we feel like, or who we feel like should have that chance or have the opportunity to be champion, don't become champion, and they don't get that rub, and they tend to not really get that opportunity to be in the spotlight, or being uh one of those people who should get that chance and opportunity. Um, they wrestle for so long, wind up getting injured, and don't get pushed in the spotlight, especially after the time when they've been, kind of hurt or whatever. Lana says, "Hey, what's up, Lana? 772. Thank you for joining us." She said, "I heard Drew is turning heel. It's better if Drew turned heel. I'm gonna be honest with you. I prefer the Scottish psychopath over this sword wielding Drew. I don't like Drew. I don't like what Vince McMahon. I don't like the image Vince McMahon try to pitch to the fans after Drew McIntyre won the battle royal. I like the Scottish psychopath. He needs to go back to that. I said that like I said that like last year when they tried to change his image. I felt like he should have stayed the Scottish psychopath the whole time. I feel like that was the problem, was the fact that they try to change him so fast and make him, this whole goody goody guy. And the Scottish psychopath character is what made his character work. That was dope. It was edgy. They should just keep it the same. You know what I'm saying? Make him like an anti-hero like Randy Orton. You know what I'm saying? Like make him like Randy. You know what I'm saying? Does what he wants, come out. Like Sheamus. Because I don't even think Sheamus is a face. Sheamus is just being cheered, but Sheamus never really turned face. Like some of these guys never really turned face. You know what I'm saying? Some guys turn face, but it's just like you could tell they just still the same they still the same person. They just do the same thing. So I feel like if Drew just stayed the same and then change character and just kind of did what he want, it would work for him. Like his character works that way better, versus actually just choosing a side. I'd rather him be gray than black or white. Um. So the era of dominant champions, you have Bianca Belair being one of those dominant champions, having this lengthy title reign going on close to a year. A lot of us are expecting Gunther to keep the Intercontinental Championship. A lot of us don't expect him to lose at all. Him being Intercontinental Champion, I think, um, I think him being champion, having a lengthy reign is something that's needed. It's something that we should have, and it's something that needs to continue on. Um, Reason being is because the Intercontinental Championship has not gotten its just due since certain is just due since Cody Rhodes. Well, let me not say since Cody, but we've had moments with the Intercontinental Championship, but never really it getting its due as far as us having champions who were substantial. Like one of our first substantial champions that we had, that had a lengthy reign, was Don Morocco. You know what I'm saying? And that's in 1983, and that's when we kind of got more substantial reigns. You had Randy Savage, you had a 414-day reign. You had over a year, you had Honky Tonk Man, who had a 454-day reign, who beat Macho Man's record. Then you had who had another lengthy reign? Other than nobody else had a lengthy reign over 400 days, not even past 300 days. The most was 200 and something. I think the longest reign beside that went over 200 after my Honky Tonk Man was you had Cody, who had 236, but then you had what's his name? Shelton Benjamin, who had the longest modern day reign. I think it was Shelton Benjamin, I believe. I think his reign was longer than Cody's, I believe. Where's Shelton Benjamin at? Yeah, 244. It was longer than Cody's. Cody's was 236. So it was 244. He had the longest modern day reign at that time. No one beat that record or beat that length of time. And now Gunther has actually beat that length of time. He has been Intercontinental Champion for 290 days. 290. I'm just waiting for him. I mean, we know we don't expect him to lose. I don't expect him to lose, personally. I want to see Gunther hold the belt for over a year. I want to see him break Honky Tonk Man's record. I want him to hold the belt for a lengthy time. I don't think anybody else should hold on to it, in my opinion, for a while. But Gunther should definitely be that guy that holds that belt for the length of time and continuously bring the prestige back to the title that needs to be brought back. So I think he definitely should be that guy. Then we have Roman Reigns being our world heavyweight champion, being the guy who's holding on to the belt for more than, was it 2 years? 2-year title reign. This is crazy. And it's like, we're going to sit back and think about this. Like, yo, Roman had the belt for like 2-3 years almost. So let me see. WWE Universal Championship. I think he's held the WWE title for like more than a year. I think it's like 2 years for the WWE title. But let's see. He's held the belt since 2020. We're in 2023, so it's over 2 years. Going on 3. He's gonna lose at Mania, we know. He's held the World Heavyweight Championship for a year. So champions holding the belt for long periods of time. Is this a problem? I think not. I totally agree with it, because when Cody gets the belt, Cody's a star. He's already a star. I mean, you got to be prepared for that place before you go to it or before you get that position. But I think Cody's a star. Cody is a star. Cody's always been a star. If it's in you, it's in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cody always, knocked every character he had in WWE out of the park, where he had recognition shined on him for the roles he played, as far as whatever he did. Legacy was just the beginning, but when he became Stardust, and the fact that he was able to do such a great Stardust, everybody's seen such great promise and potential in such a young Cody Rhodes. But now Cody gets to be the character that he wants to be and get that World Heavyweight Championship. A lot of us, a lot of people, I should say, I'm sorry, a lot of people have been speculating that Roman may not win. May not relinquish the titles at WrestleMania. It's been hearing that in the rumor mill, that Roman Reigns may keep the belt and may retain, which I don't think will happen. But Gunther, I want to see Gunther break this record. So Gunther is already in the 19th place as far as combined reigns. Once he reaches past the 300-day mark, that's when he's really in, deep territory. But once he reaches past the 300-day mark, he'll be close to the top 10. He'll be close to the top 10. And the top 10 longest reigns are combined reigns: Pedro Morales, The Miz, Don Morocco, Honky Tonk Man, Tito Santana, Razor Ramon, The Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, Mr. Perfect, Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect are contenders for the 9th place. Crazy. But he'll be cracking the top 10 once he reaches the 300 mark, or close to the top 10, because everybody else who's in the top 10 are at the 400 mark. But nonetheless, let's see what happens. Lana says Sheamus is supposed to be feuding with Drew for the IC title, I think. That'll be trash. I'm not trying to see that. I ain't trying to see that. I ain't trying to see Gunther lose the belt and then all of a sudden have a Sheamus and Drew McIntyre feud for what? Well, like 3-4 months. Then just to have them go and do what? Go back and forth for the belt for what? Nah. I prefer Gunther to be that common denominator and be that guy that's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're trying to pursue after for they're trying to go after for the title, but they don't ever beat them for it. They'll never win for it. And they'll never beat them for it, and then they wind up feuding with each other. I prefer Gunther just to hold on to the belts, right? I mean the belt itself and then not actually lose it. What's the point of even Drew McIntyre or Sheamus even winning the title? You have Drew McIntyre, who's a two-time former world heavyweight champion. I think a two-time tag champion, right? A former intercontinental champion, like what, two-time, one time, or something like that. A Royal Rumble winner. He's established, right? You have Sheamus, who's a two-time world heavyweight champion, three-time or four-time, WWE champion. I think it's like three-time, right? Who's a three or four-time former tag champion, former Intercontinental champion, former United States champion, then won like almost every championship there is to win. I think he won the red and blue tag belts. Like you have Gunther, who's only held on to one championship other than the NXT UK championship, and that's the Intercontinental Championship. I think it would make no sense for Gunther to go into WrestleMania, right, after establishing a dominant reign with the UK title, holding that belt for like what 4 or 5 years or something like that. Then it comes in the main roster, has this great reign with the Intercontinental Championship, and then just lose it to like Drew or Sheamus. Like, why? Just to lose it, just to lose it, and him holding on to that belt would build his star power or increase his star power so much more, and make him so much greater as a performer. That's my personal opinion. I think that it would be better for his character because it's like Drew and Sheamus can go and fight with somebody else, and you know what I'm saying. Just because one thing I like about what they're doing now and what Triple H is doing with the talent, we're not building run of the mill champions. Like people are just not getting titles slapped on them. It's like why we got titles being slapped on these people, and then it's like they lose the belt in like 2-3 months. Like, what was the point of even putting the belt on him? The whole point of a champion is to root for somebody you believe in, right? Somebody you believe to be uh a competitive athlete, right? Someone you believe that's going to go out there, they're going to win matches and put on great performances and give you A1 performances. Like that's what we root for a champion, right? So if you're a guy who wins the belt and you're a champion who wins the belt and then you only hold it for like 3 months, were you really a champion? Like it doesn't really make you solid. Like to me, that was always my issue with Edge. Like I think Edge is one of the greatest performers that WWE has ever had because he had some great moments, and he was, to me, I always seen the talent in him. But WWE never backed him enough to really make him a solidified champion. He was the most transitional champion in history. I would almost say that he was more transitional than The Rock. The Rock was a transitional champion. The Rock is my favorite wrestler of all times, right? But he was a transitional champion. I can't help that. You know what I'm saying? Like The Rock only held the longest The Rock ever held a WWE championship was for 4 months. Second time, I think the second longest reign was like 3 months. Other than that, he held the belt for like a month and then just gave up the belt. Like it's like why? You know what I'm saying? Like so, you know, us having these champions or guys that hold on to the belts for a length of time shows a measure of dominance, believability, and credibility. You know what I'm saying? Like it builds that credibility. Like I can root for this guy. I can depend on this guy. Like that's what made Mr. Perfect so much of a formidable performer because when he won the Intercontinental Championship after being on the roster for like a short period of time, like he held on to that Intercontinental Championship for some time. Like I think he held on to it for like 290 days or 260 days or something like that. He only held it once. Let me see, Mr. Perfect. Yeah, he had it twice, but his first reign was like pretty lengthy. Let me see. How long did Mr. Perfect hold it? Let's see. How long? How long? Okay, my bad. His first reign was 126 days. He won it in April. Then in August of that same year, he beat Texas. He beat Texas Tornado, and he defeated Tito Santana. Okay, so when he won a belt, he defeated Tito Santana in a tournament in a final for the vacant title. Then he lost the belt to Texas Tornado. Then he beat Texas Tornado for that belt in November of that same year. So he lost the belt. He won the belt in April, lost the belt in August, and got the belt back in November, right? Got the belt back, what, like 2 months later? 3 months later? Well, more like 3 months, close to 3 months later, because it was 84 days Texas Tornado had the belt, aka Kerry Von Erich or one of the Von Erichs, whatever. But after he held the belt, like once he got the belt, right? The second time, he held it for 280 days. Like that's substantial. Like that solidifies you, makes you a little bit more of a believable champion, you know. So I like my champions with lengthy reigns. Makes them believable. 290 days. I need Gunther to hold that belt for over the year. For more than a year. I need him to have it for some time. That way we can establish some level of prestige to that Intercontinental Championship. Because I tell you what, whoever Gunther lose the belt to, they're gonna make a star. Because the longer he holds on to it, who's going to take the belt off of him? Who's going to beat him? Who can beat him? Who can take this belt off of him? And then what we want to do is, or what the WWE wants to do is, they want to look for the next guy who they see as being world championship status. Because what I believe is that they're trying to build Gunther to be a world champion. Because I believe that after he drops the belt, he's probably going to be pitted against Cody Rhodes, and that, to me, in my opinion, is going to be an amazing feud. Like that, like when they had that little moment at the end of the Royal Rumble when they went 1-on-1 with each other. It's a great moment. I enjoyed it. It was great, and it definitely was a great projection of what the future could look like, having these two guys main event a pay per view. So you know, I know they're going to have him hold on to the belt for a lengthy period of time, and then have him go up against Cody if he drops the belt. Or maybe he may hold on to the belt and go up against Cody. But whoever takes the belt off of Gunther, they're gonna make a star. You know what I'm saying? It was the same thing with like Adam Cole. Because the whole point of Adam Cole holding that belt for such a long time, and then they dropped the belt to somebody else, is like we want to drop it to somebody we want to make a star out of. And that was in the likes of Keith Lee. And they did that. They did everything right with Keith. Everything they could do right with Keith. The only thing to do with Keith in WWE was just keep pushing him. But, Vince McMahon, right? Go figure. So rumors are that Vince McMahon may be scheduled to come back and make some level of return to the WWE, which is what we are definitely not in a hurry to see or want at all. That's the big rumor, or one of the biggest rumors I've been hearing. I definitely don't want to see that at all. Vince McMahon's return. The dread of Vince McMahon. Championship. All right. I just want to see what this. How long has Roman been holding his belt? So, Vince McMahon potentially comes back. My hope, my prayer is that he has no involvement in creativity, only in just production. Just production itself. Where's the list of WWE champions? Okay, here we go. All right. I need to see this list. All right, here we go. So Roman Reigns held on to the WWE World Championship, the main title, for close to a year. It's not a year, which is interesting. He's won it at last year's WrestleMania. Um, this year's WrestleMania. This year's WrestleMania is on April 4th. No, April 2nd. WrestleMania is because he's fighting on night 2, April 2nd. So if he holds on to it to the 3rd, then that would mean he would. So that would mean that he would have had it for a year. But he's had the Universal Championship for 2 years and some change. Yeah. All right. So long reigning champions. I wonder if you guys think that how long you think Austin Theory is going to hold on to the championship. But we need long reigning champions. I think honestly, this would be like the first WrestleMania where um you have certain people like this should be like in my opinion, certain people should walk out with championships. Like I feel like Roman should lose. The Usos, if they lose, they lose. To me, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. If they hold on to it, I'll be fine with that. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't like if somebody else, like if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn held on to, I mean, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn got the belts. I'm like, all right, cool. If the Usos retain their titles, I'll be like, great. In my mind, I'll be satisfied. I'll be great with that. If they lose, I'm like, all right, whatever. Um, Bianca Belair more than likely may lose to Asuka, but she may not lose to Asuka. They may allow Bianca Belair to defend her title at WrestleMania successfully and just go on. But Asuka's favorite, but you got Bianca Belair, who's just a great performer. Rhea Ripley's expected to win against Charlotte. It makes sense for her to win because Charlotte has not really been booked strong, only on the pretense or just the fact that she came back, won the championship, so easily and so quick, and then now she's champion and that's it, right? So it's like she comes back, she has this strong return, but holds on to the belt until WrestleMania and then loses to Rhea, which is like, I feel like is a good play on, you know, Charlotte is Charlotte, but it's like now it's time for somebody else to kind of like pick it up and move forward because she's had her time with Vince. Um, then we have what's his name? What is this guy name? You have Gunther. Gunther, I want to keep the title. Austin Theory, I want to keep his title. Um, and then you have yeah, Roman should lose. Hmm. If the Usos lose, I'm like, all right. If they don't lose, I'm totally cool with that. But I feel like Roman needs to lose. Roman needs to let go of those belts. He's done enough. Um, and that's it. I mean, you have the women's tag titles. You know, those been flip flopping around. They don't look great on Damage Control. Damage Control was trash, in my opinion. Damage Control is trash. Bailey as a leader of a faction, trash. Not entertaining. Stop. Keep it moving. Break them up. Bailey needs to go back doing a solo thing. Nothing entertaining about her doing her and Damage Control. Um, you know, Damage Control is trash. This whole Bailey and Becky thing has not really been entertaining at all, in my personal opinion. I'm not really a big fan of it, truth be told. I think it's pretty much terrible. just having those guys rival each other. I've not been entertained by it in no way possible. Like I just, Becky lost a lot of steam after coming back. She came back. She had that squash against Bianca Belair, which should never have be one of the match. They should have never um, Bianca Belair so weak. Just to have her turn around and win the match or win a match, months later, because somebody was probably in Vince's ear, like, hey, you should have, you know, Bianca Belair, go over on Becky. And then she has this big old long drawn out match versus Becky just, going in there and just squashing her with one move. And then that was terrible. That was freaking terrible. This woman then put on a classic WrestleMania match, and then all of a sudden she gets squashed. Like, it's like, did she deserve that? Not at all. But I'm glad she got some level of retribution. Um, anyways, Becky, this whole tag match situation, I don't care for it. I think that's probably one of the matches I probably like, get up and make me something to eat, or, go to get something from the store to buy something to eat or whatever, or, get my food or whatever. But I'm definitely not feeling this whole Becky and Damage Control situation. Terrible. Don't care for it. So Bobby Lashley apparently has been added to the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial instead of actually having a match against Bray Wyatt, because Bray Wyatt is completely out of WrestleMania. We have no Bray Wyatt because of health issues, health reasons. As some of you may know or may not know, that Bray struggles with he has a lot of mental issues that he struggles with. Not sure specifically what it is, but I do know that that's one of the things that he deals with is his mental health. Praying for him. Hopefully he comes back stronger. Hopefully he's able to fight through it. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we don't hear nothing tragic and nothing crazy to happen to him over the weekend. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, Bray is all together. But unfortunately we won't get Bray versus Bobby. In some ways, I'm happy for it because I already know that Bray was going to beat Bobby. Bobby don't need another loss. I think they need to reconsider how to book Bobby now. And I mean, book Bobby like Brock. Bobby to me will be a better version because Bobby will give you better in-ring work than Brock. Brock, he's going to spam you with a whole bunch of suplexes and then give you an F5. That's all you can expect from him. Sad to say that this guy has wrestled for about 90% of his life, and all he gives you at the end of his illustrious WWE career is a bunch of suplexes and F5s. A two moves of motherfucking doom. I really don't need to see Omos versus Brock. I don't want to see Omos and Brock either, Lana. I don't want to see that at all. I don't know why. It was a terrible booking decision, in my opinion. Even though I'm kind of over the Brock and Bobby feud, I would prefer to see Brock and Bobby versus Brock and Omos. I felt like what they should have done was hit us with, kind of gaslight us a little bit, like say, oh, we're going to have Brock versus Omos, right? And then do something to whereas Omos gets injured and then Omos can't wrestle. He can't perform. So instead of us having Omos and Brock is like, I need an opponent for WrestleMania. And then Bobby Lash, no, and then like what's his name? MVP comes out and is like, I have the perfect person for you, da 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 da. Bobby Lashley. He just throws Bobby Lashley's name out there, even though they're not together. Bobby Lashley comes out, they have a conversation like, we're not even together, and then MVP is like, with me at your ringside, blah blah. Definitely see it. I could definitely see the match being played out that way, or just the setup of the match being played out that way to whereas Omos gets injured, there's no Omos to come and finish the match or fight or have that match against Brock. And then Bobby comes in, fills in, and then they completely finish their feud. You know what I'm saying? With Bobby pinning Brock at pinfall versus that, not that non-disqualification nonsense that Brock pulled, which is terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like Brock wanted that victory to be for not a disqualification. It was like when Bobby cheated, he won. I'm sorry, when Bobby cheated, he won, but he won by he won, he beat him, but he beat him by pinfall. Then it's like when Brock beat Bobby, it was by pinfall. He didn't cheat because he's Brock, right? And then when Bobby beats Brock again, it's not through pinfall, it's not through submission, but it's through Brock just getting himself disqualified because he couldn't break out of the hold because he didn't want to tap. So it doesn't make Brock look completely weak, but yet it just says, oh, we know that Bobby have the potential to beat you, but yet we have not seen that come into fruition. So it's almost like it leads us alluding to the fact that Bobby can legitimately beat Brock, giving the right BS that we don't want to kind of leave to imagination, but rather actually see inside a ring. We want to see it manifested. Like Brock, stop being a bitch and just lose. Joey, how do I say your name, Joey? Joey Madigan says hello from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Hello, Joey. Joey. Thank you for joining us. And Lana says, the Damage Control and Becky Lynch and Trish Lita feud makes no sense. It should have been the kickoff show. It should be the kickoff show, but because they're veterans, they're gonna give them some kind of. I guess they were just really trying to build for something big. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to have a big women's match. They didn't really have anything, so I guess they would. But I mean, they try to. Madigan. Am I pronouncing it right, Joey? Madigan. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it right. I don't want to butcher your name, but thank you for joining us, Joey. They wanted something big. I think they really their whole thing was they want something big, right? They want a big match. They want a big match with the women's tag titles being involved because the women's tag titles have not been as big as it was when Sasha and Bailey had the belts. That was the biggest tug and the biggest, emphasis on those women titles when Bailey and Sasha had those belts. Like, you know, when they both had the belts, they both held world championship belts. And they pushed to hold, well, Bailey was already world champion. So when Bailey got the belt, it just brought more prestige to the tag titles. And then to have Sasha win, heavyweight gold, it was just like it just brought more prestige. It was like, yeah, like, no female duo will ever be as good as Sasha and Bailey until we see another. You know what I'm saying? Until we see another female duo that comes along and holds, the women's titles and the tag titles. Like never. You know what I'm saying? So they need something big, man. They need something to really bring some steam behind the women's world tag titles. And we ain't got that. We don't have that. The only other people that ever held those women tag titles and made us really like pay attention to them, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, besides Bailey and Sasha, was the Iconics. They did it right. Like it was just the way, it's just them being the annoying hero. I mean, the annoying heels that they were. was enough to make us look at him and say, all right, so who's going to beat him for the belts? But at the same time, how are they going to manage to continuously hold on to these titles? Like that was Iconics. All right, I'm back. Sorry guys, my signal is going in and out. Definitely sorry about that. Connected to Wi-Fi, so definitely sorry about that interruption. All right, so I'm about to close up in a few moments. About to call it a night. All right, Joey says, I grew up watching the Attitude Era and Monday Night Nitro. Now that Triple H is mostly in charge of creative, he needs to bring back title changes on Raw and SmackDown. All right, so Joey, what do you mean by title changes? If we're saying that Triple H is bringing back title changes, are we saying that? And I just spoke about this earlier about champions holding the belts for longer periods of time, for lengthy periods of times. So are you saying that he needs to bring back title changes, which means that we have these titles flip-flopping every 2 to 3 months? Or is he saying that, are you saying, Joey, that these titles need to be interchangeable on Raw and SmackDown? Like someone who is an Intercontinental Champion can defend that title on Raw and vice versa. Joey says the titles need to be on separate shows. The titles are on separate shows. They are. The United States Championship is on Raw. The WWE World Heavyweight Championship is for Raw. The Red Tag Team Championships is for Raw. The women's tag belts are right now for every show. I believe it's for SmackDown, for Raw, and for NXT. No, I'm sorry, not NXT, because NXT has their women's tag titles now. But for Raw and SmackDown. And the Intercontinentals for SmackDown, the Universal titles for the Universal titles on SmackDown. The blue tag belts is for SmackDown. So we have separate titles for separate shows. Or are you saying that the Usos and Roman need to lose so that those respected titles can go back to those shows and they can have separate champions? Lana says, you think Rhea's losing? No, I think Rhea's gonna win. It's Rhea's time. Rhea, see, my thing, I'm glad you mentioned that. I think Rhea actually Rhea is Rhea's time, right? Because remember when Rhea came up to the main roster, she before she came up to the main roster, Charlotte Flair decided she won the Women's Royal Rumble. I think it was the first one, right? She won. And she won that Women's Royal Rumble. I know the first one was won by Charlotte. I believe it was the first one that was won by Charlotte. And she decides to go down to NXT, challenge Rhea for the NXT Women's Championship because she said she never had the belt. She never won an NXT Women's Championship. And she challenged her for it, and she beat her. And a lot of fans, me included, felt like Rhea and Shayna should have had their moment of winning women's gold that year, and they both lost. That was one of Vince McMahon's other poor decisions. Not having Rhea win the belt. When Rhea actually won the belt, I think she eventually beat Charlotte for the belt, but when she beat Charlotte, she cheated for the belt. It was like all this interruption and all this foolishness. In this match, at WrestleMania, it's going to be a legitimate. I believe it's supposed to be a legitimate pinfall of Rhea beating Charlotte. Like, there's going to be no interruption. It's going to be a straight up one-on-one, chick versus chick. No Dominic, no outside interference. Just straight up Rhea and Charlotte, and Rhea wins the belt. And Rhea gets that rub back that she should have gotten when Charlotte went down to NXT and took her title. You know what I'm saying? Or took that title off of her. So I think Rhea is definitely winning. I think what they're doing right now is they're going to break up Judgment Day. They're on a, because Dominic Mysterio is getting his well, to answer your question, I think Rhea's going to win, right? Dominic Mysterio is going to go against his father. After he goes against his father, that's like a major rub because they're wrestling at WrestleMania. You got Finn Balor, who's going against Edge. Then you got Rhea, who's going for the women's title. So they all like all three members of the Judgment Day have matches, and you're seeing that what Triple H is trying to do is trying to push them out separately. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I'm giving all three of you guys as part of the group WrestleMania moments. And for the most part, he's really setting up Finn and Rhea the most, because out of those four, those are the two people he's like, I want to push these guys in the you know what I'm saying, like in the main event picture. But I definitely think Rhea's winning, because I think her world championship win is going to be that moment that's going to like kind of push her out of Judgment Day and kind of have her fly solo, unless they feel like they need to keep her in the group with the women's title. Joey says defending the titles on those shows, but not defended. Tired of them not being defended. Oh, okay. All right. So you're saying that they need to bring back more title defenses on the shows. Gotcha. No, absolutely. I think that with Cody having the championship, I think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get more entertainment of those, more entertaining, fights as far as WWE World Title matches. You know what I'm saying? Booked on the show. Roman didn't defend any of his. I mean, he defended his world title like maybe once or twice on Raw or SmackDown or something like that. He had a match against other people, but it was like here and there. But yeah, you have what's the guy name again? Jesus Christ, Gunther. You have Gunther and you have Austin Theory, who defend their titles. They're not defending it every night, but at least once a month you do get a title defense. Once or twice you get a title defense. They are defending their belts at least once or twice a month on a Raw or SmackDown. You're getting that. And the Usos haven't really been defending their tag titles either. That's true. You agreed, yes. Joey says, I'm a huge fan of Usos and Roman, but new faces need to hold the titles. Just my opinion. I totally agree. That's what I mentioned earlier. That now is the time for the Usos and the Bloodline to kind of give up the belts, and it's kind of time to allow that angle to kind of fall apart. I honestly, personally, if the Usos keep the titles, I'm cool with it, because the tag division has not really been that strong. I honestly feel like for them to push Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the picture of them holding tag titles, I wouldn't say it's a slap in the face, but I think it makes sense because they're both, well, Kevin Owens is a former Universal Champion, former NXT Champion, former United States Champion, former, I think, Intercontinental Champion. Sami Zayn is a former two-time Intercontinental Champion, former NXT Champion. So these guys are two, singles competitors, and to have those two guys beat the Usos for the championships makes sense, because they would be considered a stronger team because they're strong single competitors. And the Usos are tag teams. But nonetheless, the Usos have had a dominant reign with those tag titles for close to 2 years. So that's just their thing. I guess they're going to try to, have those two guys, win the belts and then hold on to it for however long they want to have them hold on to it until they decide to put it on somebody else, which I believe should be the Street Profits. But Damian Priest doesn't have a match is crazy. Why? Why is that crazy, Lana? Why is it crazy that Damian Priest doesn't have a match? Why? I'm serious. I seriously want to know why. Because Damian Priest doesn't really have anybody to feud with. Damian Priest's character still needs work. Damian Priest still looks like Damian Priest looks like a created character. He looks like somebody like, when you create characters and you give them like, when I watch a lot of people and they make their creative characters, sometimes they don't make them look like actual like wrestlers. They give them like all this like purple and green hair, and then they give them like these knee pads. Like they give them excessive attire that they don't really need in a ring, or they shouldn't really have. That kind of doesn't really show their physique or really like makes their character pop. They just give them excessive attire. Damian Priest wears excessive attire. He's still figuring out his character. Damian Priest still looks like he doesn't fit in a main event picture. Him being, United States champion was a cool thing, but when he was United States champion, there was no spark to it. Remember that? You know what I'm saying? There was no spark. It was like he was there. It was almost like you forgot he had the belt. You forgot that there was a United States championship title being defended against when he had that belt. It was like, oh, he got the belt? Like I remember one time me and my wife who was watching it, she was like, oh, I forgot he had the belt. I was like, me too. I totally forgot that there was a United States champion on Monday Night Raw, and that was Damian Priest. Yes, sir. Joey agrees. I like that aspect of the IC in the US. So IC in US, but yeah, the IC in the US, they defend those belts, Those belts are being defended. He says, I'm cool with Jimmy and Jay still holding the titles. Yeah, me too. I'm still cool with that. Like Roman needs to lose the belt. I feel like Roman. I feel like Roman does need to lose, but I'm cool if Jimmy and Jay lose it. I'm cool if I'm cool if they lose it. I'm cool if they keep it. Either way for me works. If I had a choice, I would probably have them keep the belts up in the SummerSlam and then have them hand the belts over to the Street Profits, or I would just book an angle or book a storyline, book it. Whereas, okay, we're gonna have the Street Profits and Roman Reigns. I'm sorry, we're gonna have the Usos and Roman Reigns lose the belts at Mania, and that hence starts the not the destruction, but the kind of like the breaking up of the bloodline, right? But I don't think they're going to allow them both to lose titles on both shows. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Roman needs to lose at least one title. No, he does. He does. Yes, sir. Definitely the Street Profits. I definitely agree. Alana says they need to break up the Brawling Brutes. I agree. I agree with you guys 100%. The Brawling Brutes definitely needs to be broken up. Joey, yes, I definitely do agree. Roman definitely needs to lose at least one of those belts. We need, and I really feel like it should be the World Heavyweight Championship. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I really like if Roman kept the Universal title and lost the World Heavyweight Championship. That would be fine. Like I'd be totally fine. Like that'll be fine with me. Like I'd be cool with that, and just let him hold on to the Universal title up until like SummerSlam. And then personally, I'll have him lose. Me personally, I'll have him lose to Finn Balor. I wouldn't give it to Sami Zayn. I have him lose to Finn Balor. Or Jey Uso. Or maybe Sami. But Sami holding the belt. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sami holding the belt, Sami Zayn holding the belt is like the equivalent of Mick Foley holding the title. It's like it's fun for that moment, but then in as far as having the belt for a long period of time, you're like, or you're kind of like, let's see where this goes. You know what I'm saying? but you don't really have so much faith in, Sami Zayn holding on to the belt for such a long period of time if he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Definitely the Street Profits. Yes, the Brawling Brutes, Lana, I definitely agree. The Brawling Brutes need to break up. Again, the rumor is that we're getting that Pete Dunne. We're getting Pete Dunne back. They're getting rid of Butch. We're getting the Bruiserweight back, which is what we need. And then we can see the likes of, Pete Dunne, feuding with Chad Gable, Johnny Gargano, smaller guys, but will give us a great match. Watching Pete Dunne beat up on Dominic Mysterio, that'd be cool. Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, you know what I'm saying? Like we get to see like certain things like that. That'll be dope. But I definitely want Pete Dunne back. Pete Dunne is who I can see with gold and in the championship. Gunther and Pete Dunne had a great match last Friday, but I still think that they need to separate. Yeah. No, absolutely. I totally think they need to separate that, completely. I think the Brawling Brutes, certain performers, right? It's like they have something that works for a moment, but then they have these guys who become like leaders of these factions, and it's like, yo, like this, the form of this faction was like for a good moment, but really, like to have you as like a leader, it's not working. Like, not for me. Like, no. Like Sheamus is not a leader. Like Sheamus led two factions. He had the United Nations or something like that, or Combined Nations, something, whatever, the nation something. And then he had the Brawling Brutes. Like the first faction he had didn't work well because of poor booking. And personally, I think that Sheamus should have never been the leader. I think it should have been Wade, in my opinion. There we go. League of Nations. Right. League of Nations. Yeah, that's the whole thing. League of Nations. I totally forgot the name of that group. That was dumb. But Joey, Sammy wins at SummerSlam and loses to KO. Yeah, I thought about that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I honestly thought about that. I thought about Sammy winning at Sammy wins it at SummerSlam and lose. I thought about that. But I'm like, but then where do we go from there? Are we gonna have like a whole feud between Kevin and Sammy now again, where Sammy did all that just to win Kevin's friendship, and then Kevin turn around and betrays him again like he always does? It's like, no. It's just like, it's kind of like, we'll be running in the cycle. You know what I'm saying? We be running in a cycle. But yeah. Um, but yeah, fellas. So fellas, we about to end the show. I thank you guys, Joey. I thank you guys, Joey and Lana. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. Everybody else that joined on, thank you guys for joining us for another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. We are going live on Friday. Friday after SmackDown, we're going live on Friday. All the guys will be here. Everybody will be here. We're going live after SmackDown, so that would be 10 o'clock Eastern time. Hope to see you guys there. Please join us as we have this conversation about Road to WrestleMania. I'm quite sure when the rest of the team comes, they have so much more that they would want to. Yeah, Lana. Yeah, Roman did call Sheamus tater tots. Yeah, he talked about his nuts being tater tots. That was terrible. That's terrible. And I remember when Roman said suffering succotash. That's how terrible he was at cutting suffering succotash. That's how terrible he was at cutting promos. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us for another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment in the comment section below. If you guys want to continue on in the conversation, be part of the group, Wrestling Talks and Thoughts group, join us on Facebook. Join the Wrestling Talks and Thoughts group and page, drop comments, post pictures, post videos, post news, join in the conversation, start the conversation, be a part of the group, and we will talk wrestling. Signing off, I'm your host, Saheem the Dream, and I will see you guys later. Peace.